welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Natalie Megan and this is Weirdo Book Club. Today, I am taking you back into one of my favorite series to do on this channel, Dark Romance Diaries. This is the series where I bring you along as I try to find my particular flavor of dark romance, or the dark romance books that work for me. I read a variety of different titles, and I sum them all up, and I kind of smush in a few titles at a time just to kind of give you an overview of the things I've been reading and what I thought or felt about them. I started doing it a little differently recently though, so let me tell you about it. Usually I just get recommendations from all over the place, and I had to have some sort of a structure, so I compiled them into a spreadsheet. But lately I have introduced a wheel component into the mix, where I put all of the titles into this random wheel generator where I spin the wheel and the wheel tells me what my next read is. It not only takes the pressure of deciding off of me, but it also is just a little bit more fun, and I love fun. I don't know if you can tell, but I do. Now, if you want to check out the spreadsheet or the first few videos in this series, I have everything linked below. Please keep in mind that today's video will be kind of touching on some darker, heavier topics. I don't get as into it as I do with my long form rant content, but I will be discussing, it's dark romance, so we are going to mention and discuss some heavier things. So protect yourself accordingly. Also, if you don't like waiting for videos like these, I update my bindery in real time on this series with blog posts and little bitty bite-sized reviews. So if that interests you, you can sign up for any tier, even the free one, and then you won't have to wait to hear my thoughts on certain books. Okay, so I think you got an idea of where we're going. Let's get started on the video. The first book that we're going to start with is Willing Victim by Kara McKenna. I've actually read Kara McKenna before. She hasn't made an appearance on this list, but I have read her before. She actually co-wrote one of my favorite epistolary love stories that I've ever read with Charlotte Stein. It's called Way Down Deep, and I've read a handful of her other titles too. And I have thoughts, but just let me get to the details first, and then we'll get there, I promise. So Willing Victim is 161 pages. It's classified as erotica romance with BDSM elements. Sweet. And the synopsis reads, the 2010 cult hit remastered and re-released. So that's important to keep in mind. This originally came out in 2010. For the past couple years, Laurel's been coasting, hiding in the backseat while her life drifts off course. Then one summer afternoon, a tall, built bruiser named Flynn strides in and steers her straight into an infatuation she never saw coming. Flynn introduces Laurel to things she's never imagined, to the violent but exciting realm of the underground boxing circuit, to rough and even rougher role-playing, and to an attraction she craves even if it intimidates her. As Flynn invites her deeper into his world and his life, Laurel has to make a choice. Let fear keep her holed up where it's safe, or take a chance and fight for the man who makes her feel more alive than she dreamed possible. Reader advisory, this book contains consensual but intense R role-playing scenes that some may find upsetting. Cool. Now again, this is important to remember that this came out originally in 2010, but if you're like me, 2010 was basically yesterday. I can't believe that was over 10 years ago. But anyway, here's me while I was reading Willing Victim by Kara McKenna. All right, so I'm about 40% of the way in here. Willing Victim by Kara McKenna. This is not my first Kara McKenna. This is not my first rodeo with this woman. This book is about a boxer named Flynn and a woman who is a waitress but has an engineering degree. She's kind of in a weird place, named Laurel, which I'm having a hard time hearing her name be Laurel and not thinking of Laurel Lance from Arrow. But it is what it is. They meet rather quickly. Everything happens so quickly. And they start canoodling, but in like a kinky little way. Like, he invites her to his underground boxing club after she so it's weird. She is at the park minding her business, and then some scuffle breaks out between a couple, and Flynn just shows up and is like super alpha male. Don't touch that lady again. And then they just scurry off or whatever. And Laurel follows him, and it's like, that was really cool. Can I take you to lunch? Chill. Okay. Weird. But hey, I've met people and approached men in stranger ways. There have been stranger encounters on my end, so let me just leave her alone. But then he's like, well, you don't want to go out with me. You don't know what I'm into. You can come to the club and watch it. You can come to this address on this day if you still think you wanna, blah, blah, blah. So she goes, and there's an underground fighting ring, whatever. And she gets there and she sees him kissing another woman. And in my mind, I'd have been like, turn, leave. I'm just not, whatever. But he did mention he was into some weird stuff. So she sticks around. She talks to that woman. And the woman's like, no, I'm married, but he knows about it. And Flynn gives me what I need, and we give each other what each other needs and stuff. You can come and watch later if you want to. And I'm like, I need everybody to just take a Xanax, or hell, just back off the caffeine and give me a moment. Now, this is a shorter book, and so I know we got to go quickly, but my word. So anyway, at the end of the fight, she meets Flynn, and he's like, "You're whatever, invited me to come and watch." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, you can if you want." And so she does. And then by the end of that encounter, she's like, "I think I want to try this." So they are, and it's something. It's really something. I do like that it's kind of giving a lot of groundwork. It's building a foundation of what an actual, like, respectful BDSM relationship will look like, with the dom and a sub, and boundaries in place, and hard limits, and safe words. It's doing a really good job with that. Other things are a little weird, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wouldn't do that. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel yet. Everything's going so quickly. And we'll see if that is leading us into somewhere nice or straight into a brick wall. I will let you know. Whew, I'm so glad you're back. Let's talk about Willing Victim. So of the Karen McKenna books that I've read so far, I think I've read 4 in total. I liked one of them, and the rest were only okay. Meh. And they were kind of all similar in ways, so at least she's consistent. As I said in my read along, everything happens really quickly, but I don't mind that here. It's a shorter book. And it makes sense that things would have to move at a faster pace, but it still felt way more rushed than it needed to be. The 2 main characters start up a very kinky little relationship, and I'm sure it was just very pearl clutchy in the 2010s, the way 50 Shades was. We all remember that, don't we? If you don't, you're the lucky one. What's it like to be God's favorite? But unlike 50 Shades of Grey, I do appreciate that this was a much more accurate depiction of what an actual BDSM relationship would look like between 2 consenting adults. There were discussions of limits, safe words. He explained things to her before they got down to sexy time, and I appreciate that. All of that's great to see, but let's talk about the sexy time. Let's talk about it, because it had me feeling anything but. First of all, this book is so heterosexual, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, and I don't really know how to explain it, but I mean it so wholeheartedly. Many times it's mentioned about his manly this, or her feminine urge that, or masculine smell, or just stuff like that, and I can't stand that in my romance. I can't stand that in any book, but I can't stand it in my romance book, and Karen McKenna always seems to include it in her novels. Less so in Way Down Deep, that she co-wrote with Charlotte Stein, but it shows up in all her other books that I read, and I can't stand it. The smut itself was meh. There were some choices made when describing what they were up to. At one point, when Laurel is activating her Kegel muscles during sexy time, it was written that she, quote, made her a fist, and that made me wish that her fist could punch me in the face. What an odd choice of words. Speaking of odd choices, during foreplay, they're about to get it on, and he kind of stops, and she's like, what? And he goes, I don't know, your skin, it's just so white. Now listen, as a fair-skinned gal myself, I mean, Sun has never seen me before. It does not know me by name. I've gotten a compliment about my complexion before, but I've never had somebody stop in the middle of undressing me just to exclaim how white I am. Is whiteness a flex? This is a great question. I don't have an answer for you. Probably, it depends on who you ask. Color me concerned, though. I don't like it, especially, no. I don't know. It was a quick read, and I think some straight people, some of the straighties that are looking to explore a little bit of a kinkier side to their romance, might do well to start here, as opposed to say something like, oh, I don't know, Haunting Adeline. But I did not enjoy Willing Victim by Karen McKenna, and I gave it 2 stars. It's just not for me. Change my camera angle up a little bit. I don't like you being able to see my dresses hanging back there. I can't hang them fully because beans will kill them. Okay, so next up on the list, we have Queen Takes Knights by Jolie Sue Burkhart. I dove in, moderately unaware of what I was in store for. I mean, I kind of assumed that it was vampires, and I don't need much more than that to get started on a book. But maybe you need a little bit more, so here's the synopsis. A lost virgin vampire queen, 2 vampire knights sworn to protect her. It's about to get very hot and bloody. Ever since her mother was unalived by monsters 5 years ago, Shara Isidore has been on the run. Alone, scared, and exhausted, she's finally cornered in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, of all places. Out of hope, with nowhere else to turn, she's ready to end it all when 2 men come to her rescue. They say that she's a lost descendant queen from Isis, and they're her blood. Vampire knights sworn to protect her. Sign me up. For her role. I don't want to protect anybody. I don't think I could. It all seems like a crazy nightmare until the alpha offers his blood. Then she realized she never wanted anything more, except maybe his body and his friends too. But they're not the only ones searching for this lost queen. Shara must learn how to wield her new powers quickly and conquer her fears if she intends to keep them all alive. 190 pages, available on Kindle Unlimited. Let's do this. Hello. So I am no, surely not. I remember none of this. So just trying to see how far I've gotten in the book that I'm about to tell you about, and it seems like I was doing a little sleep reading because I don't remember any of this. So let me back up. So I'm about 68% of the way in on Queen Takes Knights. This is a vampire something or other where a virgin vampire is met by two really hot knights who are sworn to serve her, and they also love each other. So there's a little poly. Yeah, and y'all know how I feel about vampires, right? I mean, we don't need to talk about it, do we? Okay, great. So I'm, like I said, 68% of the way in. Shut up, don't look at me. So I like it. I am having a lot of fun with it. I really enjoy the backstory and the setup that they gave to our female main character, Shara. And I like the two guys. That never happens. I almost exclusively hate all men. That's not true. That's not true. I love a few of them. Handful of them. It's not about that. Okay, so anyway, so she is a virgin vampire on the run. She's about 22 and her family was slaughtered and she's like fighting for her life because there are monsters tracking her. And the way that whole thing played out, I was just like, and then dudes show up. I think their names are Ulrich and Dare, Daire, which I'm pretty sure that's one of the idiots' names in Hunting Adeline too. But we're not talking about Hunting Adeline, okay? We're talking about vampires making sweet, sweet love and feeding off of each other, okay? That's what we're here to talk about. I just want you to know that I'm having a nice time. Yeah, I even got my friend Jen to read it. She's also having a nice time. She started this about a week after I started it. No, a couple days after I started it. And she texted me this morning. It was like, I'm 65% of the way in. I was like, I'm going to need you to slow down because I got to finish this first. I don't have to, but the perfectionist eldest daughter in me wants to be the one that finishes it first. Whatever. The spice every so often gets a little silly for me, but I am a very serious person and I don't do well with the things like the nipples aching. It was like when he was like, do you want me? And she like pressed her boobs boobily up against him and was like, can't you tell? I'm like, I don't think either mine are defective or that's not how nipples work. I've never seen someone across a crowded room and been so aroused that automatically you're in the headlights now. I've never had that happen. I know that they do. I know what they do. And I just don't think that is part of what they do. I just don't think so. But aside from that, there's been a couple of typos, I think. Whatever. I'm willing, at this point, 68% of the way in, I'm almost done. I'm willing to let that go if this stays the course. It's pretty solid. I like all of the characters. I like them together. I like all their goings on. I'm having a good time. It's vampires. I love vampires. And so fingers crossed for me that I continue to enjoy it. Love you. See you in a bit. Shut up and listen to me, okay? Just shut up for a second. This was fun. The female main character is not freshly 18, nor is she dumb. Wow, what a concept. I know. Breath of fresh air. The main male characters, both of them, are not only interesting, but they're into each other before they even get to her. And I love that. The book got horny so fast. Like, damn, what happened to hello? How are you? My name is. No, it's not needed in a vampire white shoes with all this blood and love and ugh. And there were definitely some cringe moments. I won't lie to you. And if those cringe moments were in a dumber book, it would have ruined the whole thing for me. I would have never let it go. However, this is a great example of when you give me enough to eat, I will overlook the dumb shit. Dumb shit. What do I mean by dumb shit? One example, period. My period, period, hot period, man period, alert period. It was literally written like that, yeah. And that could have been a knockout punch, but instead I chose to let it go. Why? Did I mention it was polyamorous vampires? Yeah, I let it go. Why would I let a little cringe stop me? The plot also had a little bit more meat to it than we're used to seeing in books like these. I was interested in getting to the next spicy scene. Yes. However, I was also interested in what they were up to, their side quest, the story, and getting answers to questions that I had. It did a great job balancing that for me. I also appreciated the discussion around and just the overall presence of Menstruation. I mean, come on. That is something that I always think about, but especially with vampires. How are they not thinking about it? I'd be really shook if they weren't thinking about it. And I haven't read that many books where menstruation is acknowledged and discussed. This one did it, and it was also nice. Another moment that made me almost hit the brakes and delete everything that I said here was this moment. One of the men is worried about Shara. They think she's upset with them, and then she comes up to him and pushes her boobs boobily against him, and I guess her are hard. So she says, "Does this feel like I'm upset with you?" And listen, either mine are defective models or I just need to download the update, because that's not how mine work. And this was not the only time that her nips were weirdly written. But all things considered, and adding in the vampire curve that I grade on and the fun that I had, I liked this one more than I disliked it, so I gave it 3.5 stars. So I didn't do this the last time when I finished a book and then I went to go pick another book. I'm going to spin the wheel of names with all the dark romances that I have in my spreadsheet to see what I'm reading next. You ready? Oh God. Truth or Kill by A.C. Kramer. Okay. You like my water bottle? I got some of my own stickers on here, like my emotional support pickle. I'm just here for the tea, and my bitter butter stick. I kind of miss making art. Not really, but yeah. Okay, the wheel strikes again with our next pick, Truth or Kill by A.C. Kramer. Now, this one was a little longer, so it took me a little longer to do it, naturally. It was 412 pages, so what a chunk. Dark thriller romance with a sinister game at the center of the story. Interesting. The synopsis reads, you're cordially invited to attend this year's spring break retreat at the Lodge. It's a highly exclusive experience guaranteed to redefine your future, assuming you survive. RSVP no. Sydney. I thought it was a joke, some pompous high society game meant to play with the children of the elite, but then people started dying, including the one who invited me to attend. Now I'm the one they all suspect because I have blood on my hands. Their blood. And then we have Cage. Horrible name. The pretty little pawn isn't supposed to be here. She's unique, not one of them, a potential prize I may take for myself, but only if she learns how to properly play this game. The terms are simple. Truth or kill. I hope she picks kill because she'll look stunning in red. Welcome to the darkness, my little black rose. Blood is your new currency, and it's time to pay the price. Consider my interest piqued. See you back here for the summary. Sup, fools. I could have sworn I already did a video on this, but I lost it somewhere in the void, so I'm about 50% of the way in on Truth or Kill by A.C. Kramer. This is a dark romance with a sinister game at the center of it, which I am really enjoying. I'm enjoying the game aspect more than I am the romance aspect of it, but let's talk about it a little bit. So there's a group of people, college-aged people, they're on their way to graduating. I think this might be their last year, and they are stuck in this isolated palatial style lodge in the middle of the woods, and there's a game going on that starts happening where, you know, something really dark is about to come to them, and I really like that. It really reminds me of video games like The Quarry and Until Dawn. If you've played those games, you know it's like a core group of people and they're stuck in this situation and they got to figure out how to get out of it and who's the bad guy and who to trust and all this stuff. And I really like that in books, in everything really. I really like when there is a group of people and they're all fucked, but none of them really know why or how they're being fucked and whom by. I'm not real good with words today. Anyway, from what I understand about this book and the series, this is a standalone in the series where a bunch of authors chose different urban legends to write about. And in this scenario, with this book, A.C. Kramer chose the kill switch legend. Now, if you don't know what that is, like me until about 5 minutes ago when I Googled it, it is an urban legend with a sinister game that may or may not have existed. And when the players die, the game erases itself. So there's no way to know if it ever existed. Did it exist? I don't know. So that's the jumping off point that she had for this whole thing. I will say I don't really feel one way or the other about the main male character and the main female character. I could take them or leave them, honestly, and I'm not really invested in anything going on with them. I'm more reading and enjoying myself because of the game. But I mean, I guess the main girl is fine. She's fine. The love interest slash main male character's name is Cage with a K. I don't really think I need to say anything else. It's dark. It's twisty. I don't know what's going on. I don't hate the smut, but I don't like it either. It's whatever. I don't know. I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other. I think I want to get to the end before I decide how I feel about it. So this is your update. See you in a bit. All right. Truth or Kill by A.C. Kramer. Lots of stuff to like here, but more stuff to hate, I fear. So I liked the entire idea and concept and plot of this story, a series of standalones where a sinister urban legend is the jumping off point for their story. That's pretty cool. I love urban legends. Urban Legends, the stories, and also Urban Legends, the movie sensation. It was full of typical cheese of the time, but it was always on TV, and I loved it. I ate that shit up. So I liked the game concept, the sinister game. It was made even cooler because it was inspired by the Kill Switch urban legend, which until this book I was not familiar with. The Kill Switch legend comes from a short story called The Melancholy of Mecha Girl by Catherine M. Valente. And Catherine M. Valente also wrote one of my favorite short horror novellas of all time, Comfort Me with Apples. I really enjoyed Comfort Me with Apples. I haven't read The Melancholy of Mecha Girl, but I want to now. So I kind of really enjoyed Truth or Kill because of this concept and where it came from. I like that. I love it, actually. It had good bones at the very least. I love a dark game with high stakes. I love when a group of people are isolated and in trouble. I love when shitty spoiled rich people get what they deserve. However, yeah, you knew it was coming. The smut and the ending were just off-putting. The smut was, I don't even really remember it, so it couldn't have been that bad. I think it was just boring. I did appreciate, though, that the female main character was in it. Right? There was no R. The smut was not reliant on the victimization of this woman. And that's always a delight to see. There were knives involved at some point and also a little bit of voyeurism. But the ending is what made me just ultimately come to the decision that this was like meh. It was mid. I gave it 2.5 stars. I didn't hate it the way I expected to, but I didn't love it either. Hi. So I forgot to take a video of me doing the wheel. I'm really bad at this, but I wanted you to see what it did to me. But this works out because someone also just commissioned me to read this. So this is the universe's way of telling me that this is the time. This is the time. This is the book. God damn it. Oh, the wheel had it out for me. Credence. Yeah, by Penelope Douglas. I've heard a lot about this book. I see it all over TikTok, and so it's been on my list for a while, and I have been dreading this day. The synopsis reads, Tiernan de Haas, what a name, doesn't care about anything anymore. The only child of a film producer and his starlet wife, she's grown up with wealth and privilege, but no love or guidance. Shipped off to boarding schools from an early age, it's still impossible to escape the loneliness and carve out a life of her own. The shadow of her parents' fame followed her everywhere. But when they suddenly pass away, she knows she should be devastated, but has anything really changed? She's always been alone, hasn't she? Jake Vanderberg, her father's stepbrother and her only living relative, assumes assumes guardianship of Tiernan, who is still 2 months shy of 18. Sent to live with him and his two sons, Noah and Caleb. Oh, man. In the mountains of Colorado, Tiernan soon learns that these men now have a say in what she chooses to care and not care about anymore. That's a sentence. As the three of them take her under their wing, teach her to work and survive in the remote woods far away from the rest of the world, she slowly finds her place among them and as a part of them. She also realizes that lines blur and rules become easy to break when no one else is watching. One of them has her. The other one wants her. But he's going to keep her. Credence is a new adult standalone novel suitable for readers 18 plus. I'm nervous for this one. I still have PTSD from the wild, and this seems awfully similar in setup. Isolation, relatives, longing, dread, but I guess we'll see. Dark romance, why choose? 470 pages. Okay, so I don't actually have a completed review or even a summary for this because it's almost 500 pages long, so I am slowly making my way through it. I'm nowhere near done. And your girl is tired. When I first wrote the outline, it was a couple of months and I had a lot of momentum going, and I guess I forgot the page count because I'm stunned and just barely making any progress, like I said, despite hours of reading. But I will have a full review up on my channel once I do finish this, so hopefully this will tide you over until then. Not only did the wheel choose it for me, and I think there's enough subject matter here in order to make a good rant review, it's a very popular title, and I was commissioned by one of my Help Me tier members on my Patreon to read it anyway. I do plan on doing some reading vlogs for this to kind of document my process in the process of reading it, and so if you're interested in that, Bindery and Patreon will have those. And And yeah, for now, I think I'm going to wrap this episode of Dark Romance Diaries. It's a little bit of a shorter one, and I didn't do 5 books, which I usually do, but I feel like we covered a lot of ground. Vampires, a sinister, weird urban legend game, Credence a little bit. So my final thoughts on the ones that I did actually finish, and my ultimate ranking of them. My least favorite one that I read this time was Kara McKenna's Willing Victim, I think. Yeah, I didn't like it. It was very straight. It was very white. It was very his masculine gaze, her feminine urge to care for him. Like, I appreciate that she represented BDSM a little bit more accurately than what we're used to seeing around here, but I just did not like it, and I gave it 2 stars. Next, the slight bump up from there has to be Truth or Kill by AC Kramer. While I did appreciate the structure and the concept of this whole thing, and I want to read more in the series just to see if maybe somebody did a little better job, I found the execution to be a little lackluster and kind of flat for me. The smut was only okay. The writing was fine, but forgettable. The ending was just meh, and it felt rushed, so I just didn't really love this one either. I think I gave it 2.5 stars. I haven't read Credence yet, so I can't rate it. So finally, the one that I liked the most in this round of Dark Romance Diaries was Queen Takes Knights by Jolie Sue Burkhart. Vampires always be coming out on top. I don't know what to say. I don't know what you want from me. I am who I am. I liked it. I thought the smut was good. I liked their interactions with each other. It was believable that they were all very passionate about each other with or without the main female character. I liked the plot. I was intrigued by it. Menstruation was mentioned. This is book 1 in a series, and I may continue it. I don't know. Who knows? Do I like it enough to do that? Maybe. I gave this one 3.5 stars, so it's still not great. None of the books that I've reviewed in this series are great. That's what some people get confused. They're like, well, you rated this one higher in. They're all like under 4 stars. I don't think I've had a 4-star review yet. They're still not that great, but they are good in the scope of what we're doing here. So today, the #1 position goes to Queen Takes Knight by Jolie Sue Burkhart. I don't make the rules, except I do. So yeah, that about sums up my most recent reads in the dark romance genre. I did also read The Alpha of Bleak Isle recently, but it's Omegaverse, and I don't know how that fits into dark romance, if at all. You can let me know in the comments, because if it does fit in, I already have my thoughts written down and I can include it in the next installment of Dark Romance Diaries, which I hope you'll stick around for. I do these every so often and occasionally. There's no set schedule. I don't operate that way. My ADHD simply doesn't allow it. Hopefully maybe one day, but not today. I appreciate you sticking around and listening to me talk about these weird books that I've been reading, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, share it with a friend if you feel so inclined. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.